Most people believe wealth is built by making the right financial decisions, invest in the right assets, avoid unnecessary debt, save consistently, increase your income whenever possible. None of this advice is wrong. In fact, most of it is quite useful. The problem is that it encourages people to think about wealth as a collection of individual decisions, rather than as a long-term process. As a result, many people spend years searching for better tactics, while paying very little attention to the underlying system that actually determines whether wealth grows or stagnates. This becomes apparent when we look at a surprisingly common phenomenon. There are people earning six-figure incomes who constantly feel financially constrained. At the same time, there are households with far more modest incomes that steadily build investment portfolios, accumulate assets, and increase their financial security year after year. The difference is not always income, intelligence, or investment knowledge. More often than most people realize, the difference is that one group is operating according to a long-term wealth plan, while the other is reacting to whatever financial challenge or opportunity happens to appear next. What makes this particularly interesting is that many people do not realize they are operating without a plan. They have goals. They want to retire comfortably. They want financial freedom. They want more savings, more investments, and less stress. Yet goals and plans are not the same thing. A goal describes a destination. A plan describes a path. And when it comes to wealth creation, the path matters far more than most people think. The reason is simple. Wealth is one of the few areas of life where small differences in direction can eventually produce enormous differences in outcome. A plane leaving New York and changing its course by only a few degrees may end up hundreds of miles away from its intended destination. Financial lives often work the same way. Small habits, repeated over long periods, gradually push people toward entirely different futures. This is where the idea of a 5-year wealth plan becomes so powerful. Not because 5 years is a magical number, but because it is long enough for meaningful financial changes to occur, and short enough to be realistic. Most people can imagine where they want to be in 5 years. Few people can accurately picture the next 30. At the same time, a single year is often too short to reveal the true consequences of financial decisions. Many of the most important financial outcomes operate on timelines that are longer than people naturally prefer. This creates a conflict between human psychology and financial reality. Human beings evolved to pay close attention to immediate rewards and immediate threats. From a survival perspective, that tendency makes sense. Future problems can wait if there is a current problem demanding attention. The challenge is that wealth is created through decisions whose benefits often remain invisible for years. Consider investing. The first year rarely feels life-changing. A portfolio might increase modestly, but the gains are usually not dramatic. The second year may not feel dramatically different either. In fact, one of the reasons many people struggle with investing is that the early rewards appear disappointingly small compared to the effort and discipline required. However, this observation reveals one of the most misunderstood aspects of wealth creation. The early years of a wealth-building strategy are not designed to make you rich. They are designed to build momentum. Momentum is rarely discussed because it is difficult to measure, yet it may be one of the most important concepts in personal finance. Imagine two people who each invest a few $100s every month. During the first year, their results appear relatively modest. During the second year, they still may not feel particularly wealthy. But something important is happening beneath the surface. Assets are accumulating, habits are strengthening, financial discipline is becoming automatic. The foundation is being constructed long before the building becomes visible. Most people underestimate how much wealth creation resembles infrastructure. Nobody looks at the steel beams of a skyscraper and complains that the building is not finished yet. Everyone understands that foundations require time. Yet financially, people often become discouraged when they do not see immediate results from behaviors that are inherently long-term. This tendency creates one of the greatest hidden costs in personal finance. People abandon effective strategies before those strategies have enough time to work. Researchers studying investor behavior have consistently found that individual investors frequently earn lower returns than the investments they own. This sounds impossible at first. If the investment performs well, shouldn't the investor perform equally well? Not necessarily. Many investors buy after enthusiasm rises and sell after fear rises. They react to short-term events even when their original strategy was designed for long-term outcomes. In other words, the problem is not always choosing the wrong investment. The problem is often failing to remain committed long enough for the investment to fulfill its purpose. The same pattern appears far beyond investing. People leave careers just before opportunities emerge. They abandon businesses before momentum develops. They stop learning new skills before expertise begins creating meaningful value. Again and again, the issue is not the quality of the strategy. The issue is the mismatch between expectations and timelines. This is why the most effective 5-year wealth plans focus less on predicting the future and more on positioning for it. Most financial advice encourages people to ask what will happen next. Will interest rates rise? Will stocks go up? Will housing prices fall? Will a particular industry grow? These questions attract enormous attention because they seem important. Yet history suggests that predicting the future is extraordinarily difficult. Even for professionals, far more useful is asking a different question. What financial position would allow me to benefit from multiple possible futures? That question changes everything. Instead of obsessing over market forecasts, people begin building resilience. Instead of searching for perfect predictions, they focus on creating flexibility. Instead of concentrating exclusively on returns, they concentrate on capacity. Capacity is one of the most underrated forms of wealth. Financial capacity means having enough savings to survive unexpected setbacks. It means having enough skills to adapt when industries change. It means having enough liquidity to take advantage of opportunities when they appear. When viewed through this lens, wealth becomes less about accumulating money and more about increasing options. This distinction is important because money itself is rarely the final objective. Very few people want wealth for the sake of seeing a larger number in an account. What they want is what wealth makes possible: security, freedom, flexibility, choice, the ability to respond to life's uncertainties without being controlled by them. A 5-year wealth plan is ultimately a plan for increasing those options. That is why some of the most valuable actions within such a plan have nothing to do with investing. Increasing earning power, strengthening professional skills, reducing dependency on debt, building emergency reserves, and creating multiple income sources all expand future possibilities. They increase the number of choices available when circumstances inevitably change, and circumstances always change. This may be the most overlooked truth in personal finance. Many people create financial plans based on the assumption that life will remain relatively stable. Yet careers change, industries evolve, technologies emerge, recessions occur, and personal priorities shift. A plan that depends on perfect conditions is not a plan, it is a prediction. The strongest wealth plans are designed to survive uncertainty rather than avoid it. They assume that surprises will happen and focus on building enough financial strength to absorb them. This perspective leads to a different way of evaluating success. Most people measure financial progress through outcomes. They focus on account balances, investment returns, or income levels. While these metrics matter, they are often lagging indicators. They reveal the results of decisions that were made years earlier. A better question is whether today's decisions are improving future capacity. Are your skills becoming more valuable? Is your financial flexibility increasing? Are your assets growing faster than your liabilities? Are you becoming less vulnerable to financial shocks? These are the questions that shape the next 5 years. And ultimately, that is the hidden lesson most people miss. Wealth is not built when an investment doubles. It is not built when a promotion arrives. It is not built when a business succeeds. Those are the visible outcomes. The actual process of wealth creation occurs much earlier, through countless decisions that gradually increase capacity, strengthen resilience, and improve direction. By the time the results become obvious, much of the work has already been done. This is why the 5-year wealth plan remains so powerful. It shifts attention away from short-term noise and toward long-term forces. It encourages people to stop asking how they can make more money this month and start asking what kind of financial system they are building for the years ahead. Because in the end, wealth is rarely the product of a single breakthrough. More often, it is the result of creating a direction, staying on that path, and allowing time to amplify the advantages that most people are too impatient to keep pursuing. The remarkable thing about this process is that it often appears boring while it is happening and obvious once it is finished. Yet that is precisely why so many people ignore it. They are looking for dramatic changes, when wealth is usually created by gradual ones. And over a 5-year period, gradual changes have a way of becoming extraordinary results.